to have you with us in this edition of the Urban Debate. Viewers, while a big focus tomorrow and tonight also for everybody is Ayodhya and the mega build-up to the foundation laying ceremony that takes place tomorrow. Another big event, another big news development is expected tomorrow with the hearing on the transfer plea by Riya Chakrabarti slated for a hearing in the Supreme Court. Yes, the big fight has now landed up in the courtrooms. The big fight between the two states of Bihar and Maharashtra about who is going to investigate the case has now ended up in the courtroom. And as the fight gets ugly, we are now also looking forward to the most anticipated courtroom battle tomorrow. Started off with Riya Chakrabarti's plea seeking a transfer of the case from Bihar to Mumbai. And the Bihar government went and filed a caveat saying we need to be part of this, and so did the Maharashtra government. Now, a day before this hearing is expected to take place, one day before that, the Bihar government has said that they want a CBI probe, that they have spoken to the family of Sushant Singh Rajput, to the father, and that the family is actually wanting a CBI probe. So Bihar government is going to be recommending a CBI probe in this case. As if it wasn't confusing enough already, here is another layer of confusion, another layer of disagreement and debate and legality that has now come in. Jurisdiction of the death or alleged crime is Mumbai. The complaint has been filed in Patna. Should the Bihar police be investigating or the Mumbai police? Now, a third layer to that is the demand for the CBI probe. And this is not the first time. This is the Bihar government that has officially said they will recommend a CBI probe. They have in fact stopped their entire investigation here in Mumbai until there is a decision. But there are other political parties as well who've actually come out and demanded the same thing. BJP wants a CBI probe. Shiv Sena has actually rejected a CBI probe. So has the NCP or even the Congress party, the three parties which are in power in Maharashtra. LJP is also demanding a CBI probe. And even RJD is saying, well, whatever the family wants, we stand with them in this fight for justice. As the two sides, Maharashtra and Bihar, lock horns, as politics and vested interests, as many other parties get connected to this, is it now perhaps the only option to bring the CBI in? Rather than seeing this fight take place, is CBI the only option in Sushant death mystery for us to find out the truth? That's the big question I'm asking. But before I go across to our panelists, I want to quickly go across to Mayuresh, because one man whose name was being whispered, indirectly taken by many people, was Aditya Thackeray. And Aditya Thackeray, just a short while ago, has broken his silence on this case. A minister in the Maharashtra government, a Yuva leader, a man who also has many friends in Bollywood, has broken his silence on all the conspiracy theories and allegations that have emerged linking him directly or indirectly to this mystery. So, Mayuresh, let's begin with that. And a detailed statement there by Aditya Thackeray. What does he say?
Yes, Tanvi, in his statement, he clearly says that it is a basically attempt from the opposition or from few people to malign his image as well as his family, and people are trying to drag him as well as his family into this. He has no connection to it. But in his statement, he has clearly mentioned that he has got association or a relation with the film fraternity or the Bollywood people, and having such relation or association is not harm. But he clearly said that if anyone has got any proof regarding any connection to SSR case, they should go to the police. But I have no connection, and it is agenda of few people to malign my image as well as my family.
Okay, and Mayuresh, what about the Mumbai police? What have they been saying today? The Bihar police has put their investigation on hold, pending a decision on who investigates this case. But what about the Maharashtra government and the Mumbai police?
Maharashtra government and Mumbai police are totally tight-lipped about it. They are not revealing that where exactly their investigation is leading, what exact investigation they are doing then.
Okay, Mayuresh, thanks so much for joining us right now and bringing us those updates. Without wasting any time, let's quickly go across to the panelists who are joining us. The question is very simple. Is CBI probe the only option in such a messy scenario? Let's say good evening to Rizwan Merchant, a lawyer joining us from Mumbai, Aftab Ahmed Khan, retired IPS officer, Mr. Arvind Kumar Jain, former DGP of Uttar Pradesh, Karuna Nandi, senior lawyer of the Supreme Court, and Prem Krishan Jain, former Additional General of Police in Maharashtra. Mr. Jain, let's begin with you, with this, the way this has now progressed in the last 1 week. Many, layers have emerged, several questions that even the Mumbai police, several points actually, that put the Mumbai police also in a tight spot. Is it just advisable to then look for a CBI investigation?
The government of Maharashtra, which is the sole agency to recommend any probe into this matter by the CBI, has very categorically denied that they will not be handing over the probe to CBI. Now, we have an accidental death report registered in Maharashtra, in Mumbai, and Bihar has somehow registered a case, though they should not have registered. They have registered an independent FIR, which now they have recommended that the investigation should be transferred to CBI. It is for the government of India to accept this recommendation or otherwise. The only other agency which can order a CBI investigation are the High Court and the Supreme Court. The matter is going to come up before the Honorable Supreme Court tomorrow. I am sure that since it has become a turf for a lot of things are being said in the media, a lot of twists and turns are being, in this case, are being taken. I'm sure the Supreme Court is going to come out with a clear directive as to who is going to continue investigating this case. There cannot be two agencies investigating the same case, the same set of incidents. Whatever be the sections of law, out of the 5 sections of law that were applied in this case by Bihar Police, 4 pertain clear-cut to Mumbai only. Only 406 is the section which by some stretch of imagination or by a scant stretch of imagination could have been taken to Bihar. So Supreme Court is going to come out with a very clear directive in this matter. I am sure the things will start moving after that. Now coming to the part of doubting the investigation being conducted by Mumbai Police, yes, they have been keeping everything under wraps. Only yesterday the Commissioner of Police came up with a press conference and he tried to clarify certain things. Of course, there are a lot of questions being asked and that is where the situation is. So it is for, I would not like to comment on the merits of the investigation today. Let the legal battle be played out in the court tomorrow, and then only we'll be able to know clearly as to who's going to investigate. And then we now know the stand of both the parties. Bihar Police is trying to connect Disha Salian's death and Sushant's death together. They want to expand the ambit of their investigation. Mumbai Police has categorically stated that they didn't find anything suspicious in Disha's death as well as in SSR's death. So the stands are taken pretty clearly. So I think let this thing be decided tomorrow. Only then we'll be able to discuss in a more cogent and meaningful way. Tanvi.
Okay, let me highlight a couple of things here as well. For example, fact of the matter is the family who's obviously, holds whose word obviously matters a lot in such a story, has come out and said that, well, the Mumbai Police wasn't, taking them seriously, the issues that they raised, which is why they had to go to the Bihar Police. The second point is that now questions are being raised about what investigation was done in 40 days and if Mumbai Police actually went in the wrong direction. Then what happened yesterday, the fact that repeatedly Mumbai Police has said that no, we were not told by the family or anybody linked to Sushant to look into Riya Chakrabarti, but now there are WhatsApp messages that even Mumbai Police confirms were sent to them as alerts back in February. Granted, in February you didn't want to do anything until there was a formal complaint, but can you then later on say after the man has died that you didn't look at this angle, that you didn't think it was important? Now, with these kind of instances coming to light, Mr. Arvind Kumar Jain, does that make the case more difficult for the Mumbai Police to argue, to say, no, it's still our right, we will investigate this case?
Actually, from a law point of view, such cases are registered at zero crime number in a state, and then case is transferred to the concerning district. Case should have been transferred to Mumbai, and I still hold this opinion. But news items have come up in social media, and the way SP City Patna was treated by Mumbai Police. It is only on the direction of some very higher ups, political higher ups. Otherwise, Mumbai Police is a very professional police. All police forces, they cooperate with each other. Until now, they were cooperating, and nobody had objection. 4 people of Mumbai, Bihar police were investigating the case. They were collecting evidence, and they were not quarantined. They were now, as soon as SP City reaches, BMC comes there. BMC will not come on the request of Mumbai police. It has been directed that SP City should be quarantined and should be kept in the SRPF mess. Yeah, this is most improper, and it has sent very wrong signals throughout the country. And it will the dispute will now increase further between two state police forces, which is very unfortunate. Supreme Court is going to decide, as Mr. P.K. Jain has said, but I think it is in the fitness of things. No allegation has been leveled against any politician of Shiv Sena or NCP or Congress. So why they are fighting shy? They should refer the investigation to CBI. You see, he was an icon. Sushant Singh Rajput was an icon for lakhs and crores of Bihari youths, and they are suspecting something. I have had a talk with so many criminologists, with forensic science experts, and they have raised their doubts over the injury marks on Sushant Singh's body. So it will be in the fitness of things now to make things clear and make the entire investigation transparent, that it should be handed over to CBI. CBI is not going to charge sheet Shiv Sena people or NCP people or Congress people. It will be evidence based. And why are they fighting shy over it? I really fail to understand. So this is my viewpoint.
Okay, may I just point out though that I don't think officially the details or even the document about the postmortem report has come out for anybody to know the injury marks and pass judgments on that. And I know a lot of forensic experts are doing that. It amazes me how they do that. But let me bring in Mr. Rizwan Merchant to the question that I asked Mr. Merchant. Does it put the Mumbai police in a weaker place, looking at what has happened in the past 1 week?
Tanvi, look, basically everything revolves around a due process of law which is required to be followed by Mumbai Police under the Code of Criminal Procedure. Whenever there is a case of suicide, that's an unnatural death, under 174, the body is required to be taken charge of and an inquest is required to be drawn. An inquest panchanama is required to be drawn. In the inquest panchanama, all the injuries which are found on the person of the deceased are required to be recorded. Now, if the allegations are that this is a case of murder, that he was first eliminated and then he was hung, then his hyoid bone ought to have been broken if it is a case of strangulation. Now, this is not what I say, this is what medical science says. If it is a case of hanging, then you'll find a breakage in the cervical bone. Now, those are the issues which obviously are available to the Mumbai Police. So, if they find the hyoid bone broken, they would have definitely registered an FIR. Secondly, at the time when the inquest was drawn, they did not find any suicide note. If there's a suicide note which is found and the name of a particular person is mentioned in the suicide note, immediately an offence under 306 is required to be recorded. In the absence of this evidence, an ADR was recorded. Until such time as the inquest is not drawn, everything is an inquiry under CRPC. But the moment the inquest is completed, this converts itself into an investigation. Likewise, you have an investigation which is done under an FIR. Now, if Mumbai Police has started the investigation, they have come up to a particular stage. They have not yet disclosed what is their outcome and what is their finding. They are absolutely tight-lipped, and this is generally the procedure which police adopt. They never like to discuss what is the investigation developments, lest the persons who are actually involved in this case, they try to cover up their marks. So if Mumbai Police has started the investigation, I personally feel you should allow them to complete, because it is a due process of law which is initiated under law, under CRPC. So that has to naturally get completed in the form of a report under 173. If after the submission of the report under 173, if the complainant or the family members of Sushant are unhappy with it, you have the provision of a further investigation under 173(8). At that stage, you can ask for further investigation by the state CID. You don't need to go to the High Court. You can go to the DIG. DIG has the powers of transfer of investigation. Despite that, if you're dissatisfied, you go to the High Court and ask for re-investigation. Not only further investigation, but re-investigation. But allow Bombay Police to complete the investigation. We have found, Tanvi, we have found Mumbai Police investigating certain very sensitive cases. See the 93 blast case. The entire investigation was done under the supervision of Mr. M.N. Singh, Joint CP then, and Rakesh Maria. The arrests in 93 blast case were all completed by Mumbai Police. Thereafter, the investigation was taken over by CBI. So let Mumbai Police come to a definite finding. If they commit mistakes, you can pull them up. There's no difficulty. Law allows you to drag them to court and make them answerable to mistakes which they have done or investigation which they have not done. But please allow them to complete a task. You go all the way to Patna, or a place which has got no jurisdiction. Supreme Court has lately upheld the issue that you cannot have multiple FIRs in different states in respect of the same cause of action. Now, whether it is a Disha's case or whether it is Sushant's case, you want to merge those particular cases, that can be done in Mumbai also. There is no difficulty about that. Why should you go all the way to Bihar, all the way to Patna and get a particular offence registered? Now, Mr. PK Jain rightly says that 406 CRPC is the only additional charge in the Bihar FIR. Now, that is something which got been brought on record during the course of investigation in Mumbai Police. Because the moment you file the charge sheet, if you find that there are certain provisions of law have not been applied, you go to the trial court, you go to the further investigation under 173(8). Supreme Court has laid down law. You can follow it up, and there is a due process of law provided. You just can't circumvent the investigation by Mumbai Police. This is something which I have my own reservations for.
Okay, so, okay, Karuna Nandi, do you have a view on this? And also now
Yes,
that this has happened and it will play out in the court tomorrow, I'm also confused about what happens when a government, which is not Maharashtra but Bihar in this case, is recommending a CBI probe because the death or the alleged crime happened in Maharashtra. When Bihar recommends a CBI probe, what's the legal process involved?
That's an excellent question, Tanvi, because had Bihar had jurisdiction, and if any part of the cause of action arose in Bihar, and if the FIR was not merely a zero FIR, then it would be possible for the Bihar state government to say that no, this matter, for some reason, and they would have to justify it, can go to the CBI. The fact that it is merely a zero FIR that can be registered in Bihar, and that per force, the investigation has to be done at the place that the incident happened, the bank accounts exist, the witnesses are present, that the Bihar government doesn't really have locus standi to invite the CBI in. Now, the Supreme Court and the High Court under 482 and the Supreme Court, of course, in its very wide jurisdiction, do have the jurisdiction to ask the CBI to investigate this matter. The thing is that there is lots and lots of jurisprudence of the Honorable Supreme Court that is very clear that it is not, CBI investigations are not to be ordered for the asking. That only when the jurisdiction of the state police is demonstrated to be ineffective or biased. So, for example, if there's a very senior state political functionary that's involved, for example, right? Only in that case and only in very particular cases can the matter be transferred to the CBI. That is not just that you think it's an important case and that therefore the matter can be transferred to the CBI, right? Like some kind of incompetence or ineffectiveness has to be demonstrated. Now, the thing is that I think the police are being quite rightly tight-lipped about what they have found and what they haven't found, because obviously each step in an investigation can't be reported to the media, and you can't have the entire country watching while you are following up a lead, following up another lead, and the people who are actually responsible, of course, they're going to get tipped off, and of course, they're going to be able to either abscond if somebody who is, if there's evidence found against somebody, then they tipped off, they watch the TV and they leave, right? I mean, it seems a little hugely unreasonable to me to expect this kind of transparency
Okay.
in a police investigation. In fact, it would be malafide of any police force to conduct an investigation in such a manner. And please keep in mind that police forces move at a very different rate than Twitter or news channels or gossip or people's curiosity, right? Of course, it is important that this young man receive justice.
Fair enough.
And I can understand why a lot of people around the country identify with him, and particularly in Bihar. But it would be such a wrong against him to politicize this for an election that is forthcoming.
So let's keep aside social media. Let's also keep aside politicians. Let's keep aside the news channels who are sitting and speculating and churning out theories by the minute. Let's talk about the family. When the family says this, Karuna, that we are not happy with what Mumbai Police has done, and we want your help, and we want an investigation done by somebody else, that will have to be taken seriously, though, won't it?
Absolutely. I think the point you're making is absolutely right, is that when the family feels that there are particular issues that are not being looked into, then that has to be examined very carefully. But it's not that the family's decision on what the law is dispositive, right? So when the family is saying that, look, there were various aspects of financial fraud, for example, that were not looked into, then all that evidence has to be placed before the before the Mumbai Police. The Mumbai Police has to be engaged with so that they can go into the matter. And when the charge sheet is filed, then it will be evident to everyone what has been examined, what has not been examined, which witnesses have been questioned. Because at the moment we have these sort of piecemeal press releases from, for example, the chartered accountant who said that he didn't have that much money. Right? He didn't have 17 crores in his bank account in the first place. So with these small bits of press releases here or there, it's a picture is being drawn by whether it's so-called forensic experts, whether it's others, whether it's people who actually have expertise but feel like they need to draw a few dots together without having the whole picture, because there is no charge sheet so far. Let us be clear about that.
Yeah. Okay. Let me actually also go around to across to Mr. Khan, who's patiently heard everybody out. Mr. Khan, what's your view? Is CBI probe now a good option, considering that we have two sides which have locked horns and there are various interests already involved and at stake?
Before I come to the CBI inquiry, whether it's justified or not demand, let me clarify 2 points. One point was made that the Mumbai Police were responsible for Prasad being kept under observation or whatever it is. Mumbai Police had nothing to do with it. It was the decision of the BMC. And I don't think Mumbai Police should be unnecessary. They've been, last I think 40 odd days, they've been blamed for almost everything. But they should be blamed for something they've not done. The most important point is that they have said that the police has not been forthcoming. I read the statement given by the Commissioner of Police Mumbai yesterday, and I think he has dealt in a very concise fashion. He has dealt with all the points which are raised, including the financial angle of it. And he has also told you what is the investigation done so far. There were 4 eminent doctors involved in the post-mortem, and as far as the mental state of Rajput was concerned, again 4 eminent specialists were consulted, and they have all said that he was suffering from some kind of mental aberration, whatever they may call it. So that is one point. The second point, as far as CBI is concerned, the Bihar government it's ridiculous. The Bihar government has no business asking for CBI inquiry. The case has been registered in Maharashtra. Case has been registered in Mumbai. So the Mumbai police to decide whether they can do it or it should go to the CBI, or it is for the higher courts to decide whether the investigation has been sufficient or not. The Bihar police honestly is jumping the whole thing, dancing to the tunes of their political masters. Perhaps the elections are around the corner, which explains the whole thing. I do not think that the case should go to the CBI. Of course, that's for the highest court of the land to decide. The Mumbai police is doing a fantastic job. They're doing an excellent job. And if every family starts saying that we want our son or daughter or father's accidental death to go to CBI, it's going to be one crazy state of affairs. You just cannot go around saying that I'm not satisfied with Mumbai police. I want to send the case to the CBI. The CBI has certain functions, certain kind of cases go to the CBI, which have jurisdiction beyond the state. You just cannot say I'm not happy with it. They have not even seen the report. No final report has been filed after the inquiry under 174. So how can you just say, and the Bihar government surprises me. What is the local standing? How are they demanding CBI inquiry? There's no ground for CBI inquiry as far as I'm concerned. The Maharashtra government is doing a perfect job. And let me tell you, I had said this in my previous interviews also, neither the Maharashtra police nor the Maharashtra government is worried about the CBI inquiry. They are taking it as a matter of principle that it will set a very bad precedent if every complainant is allowed to demand a CBI inquiry. And young Rajput may be demigod to his followers.
But Mr. Khan, I'm sure you will agree.
Followers.
Okay, Mr. Khan, I'm sure you will agree. A lot also has to do in politics and when in high-profile cases about perception. The perception that gets created when you oppose a CBI inquiry, while you don't have anything to hide, is that you have something to hide. Otherwise, why would you oppose a CBI inquiry?
Why would you not? It's a principle of the thing. As I said, you're setting a precedent. Tomorrow, as I said, and some people objected to the term, that every Tom, Dick and Harry would come and say, I'm not satisfied with the inquiry and I want the inquiry to go. And they asked me, aren't you grieving about Rajput's death? I said, yes, I'm grieving like I would grieve for any other young man whose life was cut short in his prime. But I'm grieving more about the 95 policemen who died in Maharashtra due to the COVID than about Rajput's death. So let's not get sentimental about the whole thing. CBI inquiry, there's some rules regarding CBI inquiry, and those rules are
on matters of law.
But we leave it to the greater wisdom of the Supreme Court.
But isn't there a case to be made?
No, I believe.
Okay, but isn't there a case to be made? I'm sure by now you've also seen the WhatsApp conversations that happened between Sushant's brother-in-law O.P. Singh, who's a IPS officer himself, and this DCP who was at that point of time posted in Bandra. These conversations dated from over a period of 1 week in February. The police has confirmed yes.
Tanvi, can I come in?
Tanvi, there is not
let me just finish my question. Let me just finish my question, please.
Yeah.
Allow me to finish my question, and I will ask both of you to give me your views on it. My question is very limited. The Mumbai Police admits these conversations happened. The Mumbai Police says, but when DCP Dahiya asked for a formal complaint, the family did not want to go ahead with it. They wanted informally. In fact, while he doesn't want to talk to us about it, he has given a few other interviews to media channels where he has said that, well, they wanted us to settle it informally. लड़की को लेके आओ पुलिस स्टेशन, उससे बात करो, उसको थोड़ा डराओ धमकाओ, जैसे पुलिसगिरी होती है वैसे करके ये मैसेज क्लियर करो कि फैमिली से उसको दूर ना करे, अलग ना करे. This is what the cop himself, DCP Dahiya, is saying. Now, granted, if there is no official complaint, you thought it would be improper to step in, to go and summon people, arrest them, detain them, bring them to the police station, that too a lady of all. I understand that. But 4 months later, when the same man dies, how is this not part of the conversation you have with the family? How is the Mumbai Police telling us they still did not talk to the family about this entire issue? That's what I'm surprised about. Once the family has raised it with you, you haven't done anything about it. But 4 months later, when the same man dies, would you not want to look into this? Mr. Khan first, and then Rizwan Merchant can come in. Yes.
Yeah, have you read the statement of the Commissioner of Police that the family was allowed to give their statements? They gave the statements. None of them showed any suspicion. They, I think, 2 days after the death, 16th of April or so, their statements were recorded, and I think even O.P. Singh's statement was recorded. Now, let me tell you that there was a lot of discussion earlier whether
yes, in fact, O.P. Singh was present there.
Given on email.
In fact, O.P. Singh was present there personally when the family members' statements were being recorded. We've also been told this by the Mumbai Police, that O.P. Singh himself was present there when these statements were being recorded, and they didn't raise the issue.
No cognizable crime was made out. Now, if you look at the law, it says that only if a cognizable crime is made out, you can even lodge an FIR by email or electronic media. No cognizable crime was made out. There were no allegations which could lead to suspicion of murder. So there was no question of Mumbai Police registering a case. There's no question of Mumbai Police acting on the WhatsApp messages received from O.P. Singh. I mean, it's just being overplayed. Very frankly, it's being overplayed for a political reason.
Okay, Rizwan Merchant, you wanted to comment on this aspect as well?
Tanvi, the conversation which is dated 25th of February between Mr. Paramjit Daya, the then DCP, and the brother-in-law Sushant, if you read that entire WhatsApp conversation, it only relates to what Ria has been doing with Sushant, taking him from the house, living in a particular resort for 3 months, and then managing his activities, etc., etc. The only thing which the last line carries in the WhatsApp conversation is expression of a risk to the life of Sushant Singh. Now, most important fact is, if you read the entire conversation in the WhatsApp, it does not disclose a cognizable offense. It discloses only a non-cognizable offense. That is the reason why Mr. Daya told them, you give me a formal complaint. When you say formal complaint, means the complaint should mention that this is the cognizable offense which is committed, that this is the cognizable offense which is disclosed. The moment it is disclosed, then the police have got no choice whatsoever but to register an FIR and to do the investigation. Now, though this particular conversation is dated 25th of February, the most important thing is that the media reports claim that Sushant was having threats between 8th of June and 13th of June, during which time period he changed multiple SIM cards. Now, most important thing is, if he was having the real threat perception between 8th and 13th of June, when he changed the multiple SIM cards, why was that formal complaint not given to the Bandra police then? If that formal complaint was given to Bandra police then, with the identification of the multiple threat perceptions which he has got on phone, in person, or whatever it may be, that would have been the stage when the Bombay police could have registered a particular case and they could have investigated. Maybe this incident would not have taken place on the 14th. Why was that complaint not given on 8th June? Why was it not given on 9, 10, 11, 12, 13th? He was assisted with the best of lawyers that he has with him. You keep quiet, and now you want to take advantage of the non-cognizable complaint of 25th of February that I have my own reservations. I'm sorry, that cannot be allowed. Bombay police has done nothing wrong by not registering an FIR on the basis of that particular WhatsApp conversation. It does not disclose any offense. Does not disclose any offense. No cognizable offense is disclosed. For a non-cognizable offense, you can't have an FIR.
Yes. But won't you at least look at that angle when something goes wrong horribly and terribly, when the man dies? Won't you then at least look into this issue, say, oh, we were told about it. We didn't look into it at that point of time. But let's follow up on that lead now.
See, you are absolutely right. That particular WhatsApp conversation can assist the Mumbai police in investigation. Right now, Mr. Daya is personally not investigating. He is not a party to the investigation. So how is the Commissioner of Police or the investigating officers now supposed to know that there was a WhatsApp exchange between Mr. Daya and between the brother-in-law? It is now coming up. The moment it is come up, they will look into it. There's no difficulty. But just because they don't treat it as a complaint, you don't get a ground to pull up the Mumbai police saying that you are inefficient. You have not looked into the the earlier complaints and therefore transfer it to CBI. As Karuna rightly put it in, you identify issues of investigation which were important, not done and therefore transfer to CBI. Allow them to do it. Share information with them. They have to do it. It is legally enjoined upon the Mumbai Police to do it. They can't say they will not do it.
Tanvi, I'd like to come in here and make a short point.
All right, let me bring in Mr. Arvind Kumar Jain. Yes, go ahead, Karuna.
Look, here, I agree with most of what Mr. Khan said, except for one thing, which is that he said that there is a mental aberration that the young man had. And I just want to be clear that in this particular case, it seems that the discussion on mental health has gone back about 50 years. And this is a problem. Everyone, and Umberto Eco, the author, actually said at one time that there is the plot. Everyone always wants to find a plot. And a plot is what drives stories. And a plot is what drives media, and including media stories. That search for a plot should not be what primarily drives an investigation. I don't know what happened to this young man, to this seemingly extremely sensitive and intelligent young man. But it is possible that he took his own life because he was depressed. Depression is not a mental aberration. Depression is something that a lot of people go through. It's normal, and it's something that we should recognize as a public health issue and that people need support for. When the psychiatrist, for better or for worse,
Yes.
Whether it's a breach of a medical relationship or not, but the fact is that she has spoken up and she has said that he was really very depressed. And so I just think that this aspect of things and the empathy should remain. And the search for a plot and excitement, given that it's Bollywood, shouldn't deprive this man dignity in death.
No, I agree with you, and unfortunately for all the conversations we do have very often when there is a trigger about mental health, we tend to forget when we actually have to apply that in our daily lives, and I think that's what's played out in the last 1 week, the way this conversation in many parts has been held. But I don't want to go there tonight. I want to talk about whether or not there should be a case that gets investigated by Mumbai Police or by Patna Police or by the CBI. And Mr. Arvind Kumar Jain, the Supreme Court itself in 2019 in October, while hearing a case, said that CBI is not God, that CBI cannot know everything, they cannot crack every case, not every case can go to the CBI. If every case, in fact, starts going to the CBI, there will be chaos. Shouldn't there be, or rather, what's the measurement and what's the benchmark to decide this is a case that the CBI should look into?
Yes, this is the perfect case which CBI should look into. In my opinion, in the inquiry by Mumbai Police, by calling film critics, by calling owners of movie production houses that he was being discriminated, they're not demanding this. Notice to Kangana Ranaut to come and give her a statement. You are confusing things. You talk to the family members, you talk to the sisters, brothers, father, mother, relatives. What are they demanding? They are demanding something else. Here something else is being done. SPCT is being sent to convey the feelings of the family members. He is being quarantined. Is every person who is getting down at Mumbai airport, is he being quarantined? And permission was sought from them. They were aware that SPCT is coming. So what's the harm? Share facts with them. So they have put the entire inquiry. They have put a question mark on the entire inquiry. Now, notices to famous film producers that you were discriminating. Family members are not demanding this. But discrimination is always there. It's on the movie production house whether they want to give a film to Sushant Singh Rajput or not. It happens everywhere. There are likes and dislikes in Bollywood also. You should come to the crux of the case. Financial dealings of Shobik Chakravarti, Riya Chakravarti, out of 18 crores, now only 4 crores is left. Where the 14 crores has disappeared. No one has answer for this. So, in my opinion, I have a right to form my opinion. CBI is the best agency. to take it over. Even if the jurisdiction is in Patna, they can go to Patna. They can record their statements. They can operate in Mumbai area also, and they will come to some certain conclusion. And if there is nothing, they will submit final report. They cannot charge sheet without any evidence. There is a director of prosecution in CBI, and every evidence is examined, and only then it is produced in a CBI court. So I think unnecessarily so much is being done, and honestly suspicions are being raised about a very fine force. I will say one of the finest forces, police forces, Mumbai Police.
Yes, okay. You say that suspicion are being raised unnecessarily. It's a very fine force, Mumbai Police. But at the end of the day, we've now come to a point where the chorus is only growing and people are losing faith in the way this case has been handled. Yes, sir. Go ahead, please. You wanted to make a point.
You asked a very specific question, Tanvi, and which is that what is the standard on which the matter is transferred to the CBI, right? And there's a constitution bench on this matter, State of West Bengal versus Committee for Protection of Democratic Rights, or West Bengal. And what the constitution bench said was this. It said that, cautioned that the extraordinary powers of the High Court under Article 226 of the Constitution must be exercised sparingly, cautiously, and in exceptional situations where it becomes necessary to provide credibility and confidence in investigations, or where the incident may have national or international ramifications, or where such order may be necessary for doing complete justice and enforcing fundamental rights. Right? Now, in the present case, I think the point that is being made over and over again, despite the speculation that is being conducted even by some of the, very experienced members of this panel, surprisingly, is that the Mumbai police has not had a chance to demonstrate whether its investigation can provide credibility or not. And I think the actual following of precedent is extremely important. Yes, it is true that each matter is different, but at the same time, I think it's important for rule of law to ensure that when a constitutional bench of the Supreme Court has spoken, that it is not ignored or merely brushed aside. So we will see what our courts say, and that is something that I think that must be deferred to, as opposed to us being judge and jury.
Okay.
And this channel, we are not executioners, but on many other channels there are.
Right. Okay. Yes. Okay. Mr. P.K. Jain wanted to make a point, and then to Mr. Khan. Mr. P.K. Jain, please.
Tanvi, I only wanted to say that an FIR has been registered in Bihar. It has to be taken to a logical conclusion. Whether either the FIR has to be closed, quashed, or it has to be transferred to some other agency. Now, since there's a war of turf between the two police forces, I think in this case tomorrow the Supreme Court is going to take a view. What is to be done with that FIR which has been registered? It has to be disposed of somehow or the other. So either it has to be transferred to Mumbai Police, which Riya Chakravarti has requested for. Both the state governments have already deputed or hired their own advocates, very senior advocates. So the legal battle will play out tomorrow. But something has to happen to that particular FIR, and either Bihar Police will have to close down their investigation and hand over all the papers to Mumbai Police, or they will have to hand it over to a third agency. I think even the government of India will have to wait for tomorrow's order before they take a view whether this case should be transferred to CBI or otherwise. So it's a pure and simple legal matter now which is being contested in the apex court. Tanvi.
Well, yes. Yeah, okay. Mr. Khan wanted to add to this. Go ahead, please.
It has been made out time and again that the Mumbai Police has been tight-lipped. Let me tell you that except the court, no one can demand a report from the police. The police is conducting its inquiry. The police will not go around divulging at every stage what has come out in the inquiry. As it has been said earlier by some of my colleagues, it will alert
So we seem to have lost that line with Mr. Khan. The line has actually frozen while he was making that point, and so
Tanvi,
we'll try and
Tanvi,
get him
can I-
back and
can
get
I
that
come in
point
for a moment?
done. Yes, but the fact of the matter is that the
Tanvi-
two sides have actually now asserted their own jurisdiction for giving justice to Sushant. Yes, Mr. Rizwan Machan, you wanted to make a point. We'll have to wait and watch what happens in the court, but
Mr.
yes, go ahead,
Jain.
please.
Tanvi, Mr. P.K. Jain rightly put up a particular question of what is to be done with the FIR of Bihar. See, the Supreme Court in the case of T.T. Anthony has come down very clearly saying that you cannot have multiple FIRs in respect of the same cause of action in different places. Now, at the same time, T.T. Anthony's case also says that if there are multiple FIRs, then those FIRs will have to be treated as the statements of the witnesses recorded on 161. So the entire statement of the father of Sushant Singh, which has been treated as an FIR, will have to be transferred to Mumbai to be treated as a statement of a witness. And all the material collected by Bihar police in Mumbai will have to be treated as a part and parcel of the investigation conducted in Mumbai by the Mumbai Police and will become will form a part of the entire charge sheet, which will have to be presented by Mumbai Police in the court for the purpose of taking cognizance. So the efforts which the Bihar Police are putting in Mumbai are not going to be wasted. They will definitely have to be transferred to Mumbai Police. Mumbai Police will have to accept it and make it a part and parcel of the charge sheet when it is supposed to be filed in the court. That FIR cannot be closed. The FIR cannot be quashed.
Okay.
The FIR will have to be treated as a statement under 161 of a witness and sent to Mumbai.
Okay, all right. I understand what you're saying on the legality of it, but I think the conversation unfortunately has reached a point where many are raising doubts about the way the investigation was done. So it doesn't matter if the Bihar police has found something, and legally, yes, they can just hand over all of that to Mumbai. But if Mumbai police didn't want to see it, then what's the point? And perhaps that's going to be the battle that plays out tomorrow in the court when all sides, Riya Chakrabarti, Sushant's family, Bihar government, Maharashtra government, they all fight over who should be investigating this case. And then we will see if it's actually given to the CBI or comes back to the Maharashtra police, the Mumbai police, or Bihar police gets some kind of a role in this. Suffice to say, viewers, and this I cannot emphasize enough, we need to go by the facts that are available. There are lots of conspiracy theories, there are lots of allegations, there are theories. Some of them may turn up true tomorrow, but as things stand today, nobody knows the facts. Nobody has seen the forensic report or the post-mortem report to sit and tell you whether there was any foul play or not. Nobody has seen the call data records. Tomorrow they may come out. Nobody has actually seen the details of the investigation that the Mumbai police has done, the financial trail. We know what the Mumbai police tells us. We know what the family tells us. We know what the Bihar police tells us. And we know what the close friends of Sushant who've chosen to spoken up have had to say. Anything more than that at this point is just a theory. We wait and watch what happens in the courts tomorrow. A big case, and Mirror Now will be tracking it very, very closely. Thank you so much for joining us on this conversation.